And they're like, we've got a young girl here, she wants to be a graphic designer, will you give her a job? And then like, have you got a portfolio or anything like that? And I'm like, what's a portfolio? And he's like, what's a portfolio? There's a big bag of pictures. And I was like, I've not got one of them. And then he gives me like a boiler suit and a welding.
Are you thinking, what's going on? I'm getting dressed up.
Honestly, he gave me this like welder's helmet, and all I just thought about was, I can't believe graphic design's so fucking cool. You get a uniform, you get all this stuff, and I just thought I'm going to look fucking amazing in that. And then I got taken into this room, and it's just full of all these like guys, you know, with like welding kit and all the rest of it. And so it turned out what I was actually there to do was...
Greetings, I'm Ashley Samuels Mackenzie.
And I'm Charles Parkinson.
And welcome to How I Became,
where we unveil the unscripted journeys of inspirational figures.
If you enjoy the show, could you do one thing? Subscribe. Wherever you are, just click the subscribe or follow button. That simple act can help us grow the podcast in a big way, and we need your support to do it. And if you really want to help play a part in our growth, rate us on Spotify or leave a review on Apple Podcasts. It would mean the world. Thank you. This episode is brought to you by Uber, shaping the future for consumers as they go anywhere and get anything. Advertising on Uber connects brands with hundreds of millions of people using Uber around the world in the moments that move them most. To learn more about what we can do for your brand, visit uber.com/advertising.
Welcome, everybody.
Yes, welcome.
Quick introduction. We host the How I Became podcast, where we tell the stories of leaders and inspirational people like Jack, and we tell their life story from childhood to how they got to where they are today. And that is the story we're going to tell today, is how you became president of D&AD and founder of Jack Renwick Studio.
Yep.
It's a very inspiring story, so you're in for a treat. We're doing part 1 today, and then we'll record part 2 at a later date because it's a very great story. So if at any time you're enjoying this and think, oh, this is actually quite a good podcast, I should maybe follow, you can scan that and follow us on Spotify or on YouTube and Apple Podcasts. So we're going to start this episode in the way we start everyone, with a poem from Ashley.
Right.
About your life.
Oh, fuck.
And hi, you can say hi to everybody as well.
Oh, hi, everybody.
There you go.
Hi, Ian.
Lots of waving her face, it's lovely. Born in Glasgow, she took her life into her own hands when she was barely just a teen. She started working at 15 to support her family's needs and kept rising like a kettle's boiling steam. A creative at heart, perhaps not the best at art, she would not let others dim her shine. Then from a chance meet, she landed on her feet on a course for graphic design. Launching her own agency with 4 to 1 desks, she believes in bringing people in and on the journey with you. And also lighting fires to make more creative pyres of artists that can submit and win awards too. From humble beginnings to producing awards for your winning, we have half an hour, so let this get going quick. Introducing President of D&AD and Jack Renwick Studios, Jack Renwick. Welcome.
Thank you. Wow. I'm going to start crying now. That was amazing. I don't need to say anything else.
That's it. Story in a poem. Now we're going to tell
Thank you.
the real story. Before we do, it would be interesting to hear from El Presidente. For anybody listening to this podcast who might not be in creative or design or advertising industry, how would you describe what D&AD is in a sentence?
Oh, fuck. I would say D&AD is the hub of the creative industries, and I'd say it's probably the only awards, education and learning body that actually gives a fuck about the people behind the work who create it. That's what I would say.
Eloquently put. I love that.
Apologies for bad language. I'm Glaswegian. I can't help it.
It's going to happen. Put your fingers in your ears if you need to. So, you are, as we said, the president, and D&AD is this amazing awards. Anyone who's listening or here today who wants to get inspired by creative work, just go on D&AD's website and look at this work that's been nominated. Every single piece of work that's been nominated is fantastic. It's great inspiration for animation, for film, for package design, editing, you name it. Everything
Branding,
creative.
graphic design, art direction, everything. It is a total wealth of inspiration and a total wealth of envy as well.
Totally. Yes. Well, Apple was awarded a pencil for the design of the iMac
That's
and
right.
the first iPhone.
That's
So
right. Yeah.
anyone in that world.
So
is
those judges obviously knew what they were talking about, you know. 'Cause
probably
it sort
have
of
a good
caught
idea.
on, this Apple thing.
It did actually.
It's like,
yeah,
you know.
it's done pretty well. You now, that's D&AD. For your story, the story begins not here in lovely London. Welcome to the late people.
I think a talk's just finished.
Oh, I see. Okay, we'll let them off. Well, if you're just joining, we're just getting started with Jack Renwick's story of being president. D&AD begins in Glasgow, not in the lovely London by the River Thames. It begins in the council estates of Glasgow. You described growing up as being growing up in the school of hard knocks.
Yep.
And you learnt an early lesson in life. If you're going to go anywhere in life and do anything, you're going to have to, it's going to be down to yourself.
That's right. That is. Nobody's going to do it for you. Got to get your finger out and do it yourself.
That's it, and that's something that's stayed with you throughout your life, which we'll hear. To set the scene, I want to hear a bit about your family, the family you grew up in. Tell us a bit about your father.
Okay, so I grew up in a high-rise flat in Glasgow, and my dad was a Catholic, my mum was a Protestant.
Oh, there's some challenges already.
That was hardcore. My dad was one of 10 kids
10?
who grew up in a two-bedroom flat, and 6 boys in one bed in one room, and the four girls in the other bed in the other room.
Wow.
And my gran and papa on the couch in the living room. So he had quite a challenge in life.
So your grandpa just slept on the couch all the time?
Yeah.
Wow.
They had a fold out bed.
And you would later stuff couches for a job, but we'll get to that.
Did indeed.
And your mother?
My mum's mum had my mum quite late in life. She was 41, and that was quite sort of late at that point in time. And she basically probably got knocked up by this guy that she was seeing.
Right.
And it turned out that they lived together and they were bringing my mum up, but it turned out when my mum was about 5, he went back to Ireland, and it turned out he was married already with another family back there.
Oh, wow.
And had children and everything that my mum knew
She
nothing
didn't
about.
know.
No. So when she was about 40, my mum thought she would try and find the gravestone of her dad, and went over to Ireland and went through, the kind of ancestry portals and all the rest of it to find out who he was, and then found out that she had 2 half-sisters, and then one of them had sadly died, but she went and met one of them, and they are like twins. They're both
Wow.
funny as fuck, sharp as a tack, and cheeky, total cheeky. Like,
So she found a long-lost sister.
she did, aye.
Wow.
Aye, it's absolutely amazing.
And then we get to 14 years old.
So then what happened around the time you were 14 years old between your parents and yourself?
So my mum and dad split up when they were 14. When I was 14, not when they were 14. I mean,
That was a young marriage.
they
Not surprised.
start young up there, like married, divorced by 14. So at 14, my dad left. He'd knocked up his pal's wife, actually.
Oh,
So,
wow. So he
so
had his
he-
family, also another family as well.
So he then went on to, he had another family.
Right.
So I don't know if it's just something up there. Everybody's got families in a cupboard somewhere. But so he left and went, just sort of disappeared. And he disappeared for about 4 or 5 years, and we didn't know where he was or what had happened to him. Just, that was it.
So
Gone.
you didn't say goodbye or?
No, he just left. That was that.
Wow. And now?
Now,
Did you speak to him?
well, he died sadly, but I did speak to him. We got back in touch. When I was about 18, I was in the hospital, and I got a phone call, and this nurse came through and said, "Your dad's on the phone." And I had thought, no, he's fucking not, because like he's probably dead. And I had thought it was probably my mum's partner saying that he's my dad to be able to get on the
Right.
phone. And then she wheeled through this phone, and I went on the phone, and it was my dad. And he was like, "What the fuck are you doing in the hospital? You know, what are you doing? You need to look after yourself," and blah, blah, blah. I was like,
Nice comforting advice from Barbara in the hospital.
yeah, that was good.
Well, how did he know that? How on earth did he know you were in hospital?
Well, it turned out all his side of the family, who had totally disowned my mum by then, had known where he was. He was like living in Blackpool for 4 years, and so they knew, but they didn't tell us. So,
Wow.
well,
Okay.
thanks to them.
Yeah. So that's the story of your parents and the kind of world growing up. What about your mum? What was she like?
My mum was tough as fuck. Like, honestly, her upbringing with her mum, only child, single parent. You know, she had to leave school when she was 13 because her mum was ill, and so she had to go and look after her, which is such a shame because she's such a smart woman, my mum, and she could have done amazing in education, done anything she wanted. But that was the times, and you know, she needed to look after her, so she did that. And then I think she met my dad about 16, had my sister, got a flat, one of the new flats, which was in the new high-rise dream utopia life, which was living in the high-rise flats.
Wow.
This environment that you were in led you to becoming more of a hard-working young teenager. What was that like for you?
Well, I think like growing up in the flats, right, was brilliant. I think everybody has a real downer on like high-rise flats, as if everybody's just mental, running about with knives and everything like that. You know, it was brilliant. Like, because you were in like one block, and there was tons of kids, and we all just ran about the stairs and up and down the lifts, and we're in each other's houses all the time. And so you had a total gang, and you had a team, and you know, had each other's backs and all the rest of it. And you know, I was probably one of the quieter ones of the gang, and they just taught me everything about, you know, probably about negotiating and you know, how to get what you want and how to think on your feet, and you know, so you didn't get battered, basically, you know, like. But I remember this guy. I used to always get into trouble with my mum, and there was this guy Jason that lived at the top of the flats, Jason McCabe, and we used to always talk about, you know, when you were getting made to eat your dinner. And
Like you've got to finish all your food.
yeah, you got to eat your dinner.
Eat it all.
You're not leaving the table. And, you know, that was probably a good discipline. But Jason, I remember saying to Jason, "Oh, I couldn't come out." He was like, "You coming out, play football, or whatever?" And I was like, "No, I can't come out. I need to eat my dinner. I've got to sit here all night to eat this dinner." and Jason's like, "What? Do you not throw it out the window?" And I was like, "What?" And he's like, "What? He's like, you don't throw your dinner out the window?" And I was like, "I don't know what you're talking about." He was like, "We all throw our dinner out the window." And I was like, it was just like this light bulb, like this genius, sort of clever way around this nightmare of, you know, having to sit and eat your dinner. So then I started noticing that round the bottom of the flats there was all this like crockery and like knives and forks and spoons and everything like that, because half the time, you know, they would try to put the dinner out and the plate would go. And, you know, so there was no deaths, I don't think.
Do you ever think about it in a restaurant when you don't want to finish it?
Yeah. Especially if you're like with clients or whatever like that, you know, with that. Is there a window? You know, we can just put this in.
Oh, that's brilliant. So here we are at the D&AD festival, where the greatest creative work is celebrated, some great branding.
Yep.
You must have been surrounded by some fantastic branding and design growing up that inspired you to become the great designer you are today. Is that right?
That's right. I was totally at the pinnacle of luxury in my early years.
Your first job? Tell us about the brand.
Yeah, so my first job was a sales rep in What Every Woman Wants.
What Every Woman Wants, that's what it's called.
What Every Woman Wants, and it was, I don't know if anybody knows What Every Woman Wants.
Does anybody know it? That would be amazing.
We've
got one.
We've got a few.
Yeah, if anybody's, it might have just been a brand up in Scotland. It was probably a precursor. It was probably like a really, really shit precursor of a Primark.
Oh, right.
You know, but without any cool that Primark would come with.
A less cool Primark.
Yeah.
Primark is what you're saying.
Yeah, like by miles less cool.
Okay.
Like almost like if Lidl did clothes sort of thing. You know?
Nice.
But worse than that.
Right.
Yeah, it was shit.
So you weren't inspired by great design. You're at probably a terrible brand.
Yeah, terrible brand. Purple, like wonky type, everything like that. Do you know what I mean? But the logo is legendary. And they've just taken down the sign for the first time in Glasgow, you know, and there was a total outcry with all the designers because it's so bad. Like, it's like
so bad it's
pure
good.
Instagram gold. Yeah. But yeah, it's been removed.
And what did you learn about? So you're there as 16 years old, and what?
15.
15. Why are you going to work at 15? What was the thinking?
Well, when my dad, I needed to bring money into the house. You know, like my dad gone, and my mum didn't have like a career or anything like that. You know, she just worked in, she was like a cleaner, or she worked in a chip shop, and then, you know, cleaned at night and things like that. So she just needed money because there was 3 of us, and
Wow.
so we all got to fill our weight.
She was working around the clock, basically.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I needed a job.
And you mentioned to us, well, there was you and your brother before, right? And then in the arrival of your sister, that was like your golden ticket out of the high rise. Tell us about that.
Yes, so I had to tell these guys. It was actually, there was me and my older sister.
You and your older sister.
And in the flats, the deal was that with the council, you could have as many kids in one room, but as long as they were of the same sex. And so there was me and my sister, and we were in the flats for like, well, I was 10, she was like 13. And then my brother came along, and because he was a boy, they couldn't put him into our room. So they had to find somewhere else for us to live. And then so they got us a house, a council house.
You got an upgrade?
We got a total upgrade, having a 3-bedroom house. He had to have his own room. And so that was a ticket out of the flats, which was sad, but a brilliant step forward for my mum.
I see.
It was getting a bit rough by then, to be honest.
So you develop on, and you're working, you're going through school, and surely this is where your budding artistry came out as an artist.
Yeah. I wouldn't say I was an artist, to be honest.
What did your teacher say about your art at this time?
My teacher said, "Jack, you can't draw." So, but he did say, because I was trying. Do you know what I mean? I loved the art class. I always hung about in the art class. Always got into trouble in the art class for talking too much. And but the teacher had just said, "Jack, your drawing's a bit shit." He said, "But you can think." He said, "You're a good thinker." And he said, "So I don't think you should try and get into art. I think you should try and get into this thing called graphic design."
Had you heard of graphic design?
No, and that.
When is this? What
This
year
is
are we
about
talking?
1986, 5, something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So he's like, you should do your graphic art
Yeah.
drawing, but you should do graphic design. What are you thinking? What's graphic?
I just thought, like, my mind just went like, fucking yes, because I just thought, like, graphic as a word, do you know what I mean? Just sounds fucking amazing, right? And it was just like graphic, and I'm like imagining pure craft work videos and all this stuff. And then design just sounded like, you know, so creative, you know. So I just thought graphic design was like, that is it. Now I have no interest in anything else. I don't know what it is, but this is just what I want to do. So I then made it my mission to find out what it was.
So what
and
did you do? What did you do? You found like your calling, like graphic design.
Yeah.
What did you do with that?
It was like graphic design. What did I do? Well, I just said to the teachers, how do you do graphic design? And they were like, fuck knows.
They don't know.
No, so
Great. Thanks, teachers.
I know, I was like, right,
Wisdom
brilliant.
of
Got this seed, you know, and then don't know what to do with it. So when I had left school, I had like done 6 year and all the rest of it, and I
You did
was
what, sorry?
like 6 year, so that's like
Okay.
like A levels for you guys.
Yeah.
And I'd done well, you know, I had like hundreds of higher A levels and O grades and all that. And but I wasn't allowed to go to college or university because I just Mum couldn't afford it, you know. So it was just not an option. It was never on even a discussion.
So uni wasn't free in Scotland then? Is it
I mean,
now?
it was, but like you still had to have money for like books and you know, to live somewhere to be able to go and do it or that sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? So you needed some kind of income.
Yeah.
And so I just
And what women want wasn't paying you enough.
no, but every woman wants was, I think it was something like £1.17 an hour. It was like, you know, it was rough. It was rough, but it gave me something like a tenner a week. Do you know what I mean? Like to do what I wanted with. So it was freedom, you know.
Yeah.
I gave a £5 to my mum, and then I had a £5 to myself.
That's very nice of you.
And I didn't tell her probably. Probably told her I was on like £1.12 an hour or something like that. No.
A few pence.
Yeah, exactly.
So you asked the teachers, they're no help. What'd you do?
So I went to you used to have like a careers advisor, I don't know if you do now, and then and they just said like go down to the job centre, speak to the job centre and tell them that you want to do graphic design and see if they know what graphic design is. So I had went down. I know, it's like, you know, you'd probably go to a job centre now and say you want to do graphic design and they would say we don't know what it is anyway. So I'd went down there, and back then all they had was like the yellow pages, which was like a big Google book sort of thing. You know?
Yeah, that's a good way to explain it. A yellow Google in a book.
Yeah, you Google in a book that was yellow. And that had like all industries and phone numbers for businesses like, in local areas and stuff like that, you know. So I'd gone in and the guy's like, what do you want to do with your life? And I was like, I want to be a graphic designer. And then he was like, you know, the phone book, you know, going through it, G, whatever. And then he got to like graphic, I think he just called it graphic something. And then there was two names listed. And then and the first name up was a 24-hour print shop called Call Quick, which, you know, used to be
that.
like, it was like high street printers sort of thing. So he said, right, I'll give them a phone. And so he phoned them up and he's like, is that Call Quick? And they're like, aye. And they're like, we've got a young girl here. She wants to be a graphic designer. Will you give her a job? And then they're like, right. And then like, have you got a portfolio or anything like that? And I'm like, what's a portfolio? And he's like, what's a portfolio? And then he's like, it's like, there's a big bag of pictures. And I was like, no, I've not got one of them. And he's like, no, she's not got one. And then he's like, right. And then he said, have you got any experience? And no, she's got no experience. All right, thanks anyway then. Thanks a lot. Cheerio. And that was it. And I was like, my fucking dream was shattered because I had seen Call Quick on the high street. Do you know what I mean? I was like, I could work there. Fuck, pure upgrade for whatever it is. And then the next one down was this adult learning centre, like a training centre.
Okay.
And he phoned them up and just goes, got a young lassie. She wants to do graphic design. You'll take her. And they're like, they'll take you. And I'm like, you're beauty. So that was it. I had a job. And
I'm sure it doesn't. It might work like that today. Try it.
Give
them a call.
I'd recommend it. But when, you know, there was a catch. Obviously, I should have seen the catch. You know, so I went up first day to be a graphic designer. You know, big best gear on and all this. You know, beret, pure, probably the lipstick on and everything.
Yeah.
Walking up, and we get to this like industrial estate, and I'm like, that's didn't look very cool. I put us on silent. Sorry, apologies.
That's them now offering you the job.
No,
they're
like
P45.
P45.
We'll take you.
P45's in the post. Oh, fuck. So I guess turns off at this adult learning centre thing, and it's in this utter like run-down shithole area of Airdrie where I'm going to, and I'm like, oh my god, like I might get stabbed like walking to the front door. I was like, shit. So it goes in, gets to the front desk, and they're like, I was like, oh, I'm here to be a graphic designer. And this guy's like, like, so fuck.
Okay.
And he's like, what size of shoe are you? And I'm like,
What size shoe?
He's like, what size of shoe? And I'm like, a 2? And he's like, I've not got a 2. And I was like, a 3? And he was like, I've got a 5. I was like, I'll take a 5. You know. So he hands me this pair of steel toe cap boots. Yeah. And I'm like, amazing. And then he gives me like a boiler suit and a welding.
Are you thinking, what's going on? I've got
Yeah,
about to
I'm
do
like,
graphic
totally-
design and I'm getting dressed up.
Honestly, he gave me this like welder's helmet, and all I just thought about was, I can't believe graphic design's so fucking cool. I was like, honestly, I was totally like, you get a uniform, like you get all this stuff. I was just like that, you know. I was like, and I just thought I'm going to look fucking amazing in that. And so I was just like, brilliant. Where do I go to do the graphic designing? So I get all my gear, and I'm like, let the graphic designing commence. helmet on, you know, like ready, here we go. You know. Yeah. And then I got taken into this room, and it's just full of all these like workbenches and these guys, you know, on, you know, with like welding kit and all the rest of it. And so it turned out what I was actually there to do was to learn how to weld ramps for disabled houses.
Wow.
Okay.
And so I learned how to weld ramps. I learned how to stuff couches for homeless shelters.
I see, that's where that comes in.
Yeah, and I also learned how to sew pockets onto aprons. And
Useful skill, never know.
Useful.
I was not very good. So the deal with the apron sewing was, if you could sew the pockets on the aprons really fast, you would get a job in the factory. And but I was just too pedantic with the whole thing, you know, trying to do it like real perfectionism, which has crippled me my entire life, and it was a total setback. So I just couldn't do it fast enough, because I was bothered about it, you know, like I cared, and they were just like, you're shit at this. And I was like, oh, sorry. So I didn't get the job in the factory. So they didn't really know what to do with me, so they put me in this room that had a 2-colour litho printing machine in it, and this kind of hot metal type press thing. And I was like, and they said, that's the graphic design room, like, you can get in there if you want. And I was like, all right.
That's what I came for.
Yeah, I was like, that's what I'm here for. So then I just messed about in drawers, found bits of type, found some ink, worked out how to use the machine, and just sort of hung about in there, just printing random words, you know, whatever you women wants and things like that, you know, just to make some statements and stuff like that. That was my graphic designing training.
That is amazing. That was hilarious. I didn't know that story.
No, I didn't know that.
Took me by surprise.
Yeah.
So then what? You eventually, what happens next?
What was next? So I got in the industrial unit. There was a printers who weren't like a high street printers. They were really shitty printers, and they had heard that somebody was messing about with the hot metal, and the type room wanted to be a graphic designer. So they said, look, they could take me on as a YTS, and that you got £27 a week. And
YTS?
So I was like, yeah, so it's a youth training scheme. And it's like a government initiative thing sort of thing. It wasn't like as high up as an apprenticeship. It was just like, you know, the lowest of the low. It basically keep you off the unemployment record, sort of thing, you know. So it was like you had a job. So I took the YTS and the printers, and I was there about a week, and I was eating a toffee crisp, and then they had an Alsatian dog, and then I didn't know that dogs must love toffee crisps. And the dog like went for the toffee crisp while I was eating it, and it bit me in the face, and like just like hit me on the top of the head, bobbed me the lip, my lip all burst. So this guy that's working in the printers takes me to the hospital, and the hospital's like, what happened? I was eating a toffee crisp, fucking bit by a dog, you know, and they're like, ah, fucking usual, you know what I mean?
Classic Friday.
Not a lot, you know. Join the other list of folk who need a Mars bar and whatever else. And then we got back to the print shop, and they fired the guy that took me to the printers for taking time off work. It took me to the hospital.
No.
And so they fired him, and then I then said, well, if you're firing him, you need to fire me as well, in protest.
Principles. Wow.
And then
How
they
old
said,
are you?
17.
17.
And And then they defied me as well then. So, you know, I'm like thinking, I'm defending this guy's job and honour. And I was like, yeah, well, if he's going, I'm going. They're like, all right, there's a door. Like, all right. So I was out on my arse then at that point.
Wow.
But I was still at this point in time, I worked 5 days at the printers, and I also worked at the weekend in a sports shop by then. So I had elevated along Argyle Street to a sports shop, and I was working in there at the weekends. So I just asked, can I get in there full time? And that's what I did. And I was there for about 5 years.
Was it a cool brand like Sports Direct?
It wasn't that cool. It was called Olympus Sport. It was pretty cool. It was like for proper sports people.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was the first time I was probably surrounded by brands, like sports brands, and there was no way I was affording them, so I used to just steal them, just take them. It's terrible.
As you do.
Another life lesson. If you want it, steal it.
If you want it, take it.
I know. It was terrible, and I had this real I used to be a gymnast when I was younger, and I had a real passion for leotards, and I used to just think, I could just get and put that leotard on under my uniform, nobody will have a clue. So I had about 500 leotards at one point. I was like, you know, just kept putting them on, and then I'd put on like 10 at a time, you know, walk out the shop, like with all these leotards on. Don't, please, I'm not advocating stealing, it's not good.
No,
it's not good.
That's the lesson.
No.
Don't do it.
No,
Yes.
my dad had been a bad thief when he was younger. Yeah, that's where I got it from.
Okay.
So he used to steal. He was a long distance lorry driver at one point in time, and he used to like steal the lorry full of stuff.
Oh.
And like he would drive to our flats, and we had like a couple of there's garages at the flats, you know, for cars, and he would just like back up the lorry and just empty all the crates into the like half of the load, and then he would say he got robbed. And
What kind of stuff would turn up in the States?
all I remember at one point in time was going to this market with him to help him shift about 70,000 bottles of shampoo. And it was the fucking worst shampoo ever. Like, you would have like a whole bottle of shampoo to try and get one bubble.
Wow,
you know?
it's not L'Oreal.
Oh, no, it was rubbish. But I remember actually having to draw the logo of whatever the shampoo was, like big, and hold it up as a sign. I think that was the first logo I ever did.
And you were like, this is cool, I'm liking this.
Yeah, and I just stood to the side of him, holding up, going, like, whatever it was, shampoo, you know, 2 for 1. And then I think it was like, at the end of the day, it was like 25 for 1, you know, I just tried to get it. My first logo. I was just done with it.
Well, now we get to the point where you like, there's a lot of people who want to get into art school, right? Mm-hmm. You meet someone.
I do, yes.
Tell us about.
Aye, so I'm in the sports shop, and I've been in there for years, and there's a guy starts working in the sports shop. This guy called Ed Sullivan, and he was at Duncan Jordanson College of Art up in Dundee, but he was also from where I was from, and I got chatting to him one Saturday, and he said, oh, blah blah blah, I did graphic design. And I was just like, fucking what?
What?
You know, and I just totally fell in love with him, like, immediately. And I was just like, oh my God, like, you're a graphic designer, how do you do graphic design? And he said, well, you apply to art college, you put a portfolio together.
And you were like that P word again, portfolio.
I know, and I was like, I said, oh, I've heard of it, a portfolio. And I'd said, oh, it's a big bag of pictures. And he said, it's more like a suitcase of pictures.
Oh,
And he's like,
correction.
no, he's like, it's actually like a black, it has to be black, obviously, it's like a black suitcase of pictures. And I was like, right. So Ed went to the building printing college with me and asked for forums and things like that, and helped me fill them out, and helped me submit them. But I had went to the College of Building Printing for a day one time when I was when I was doing the welding, and they had sent us there to the building printing to learn this printing machine, and the teacher was off, and they said, go and sit in this other class, which was the graphic design class. So at this point in time, I'm like fucking, you know, having a fit by this point in time. Like, I'm around real life graphic design people. And the lecturers just, we all looked mental, like the people that were at this thing. They asked us to go and sit in the corner. They said, you can have a bit of paper, there's some pencils there, design a logo for something. And we were like, what's a logo? And they were like, it's like a symbol. And then they said, right, the brief that these guys are working on is for a garden centre. So everybody was just stabbing holes in the paper and making paper aeroplanes and all the rest of it. And then I drew this logo, and the lecturer went past and said, "Oh, that's a good logo." And he said, "You should think about doing this." And I was like, "Oh, well, that's what my teacher said." And so it was about 5 years later by the time I'm getting round to this. So I thought,
Wow.
I go up with Ed, and I go up to the building for college, and I'm asked if this guy's still there. His name is Jerry Rafferty.
What, the guy from 5 years ago?
Yeah, the lecturer. Wow. And he said, he's up on like the 9th floor or whatever. So I goes up, and I chaps the guy's door, and I'm at Jerry Rafferty, and he's like, "Hi." And I was like, "I came here 5 years ago. I drew a logo. You said that it was good, and that I should come, so I'm here." And he was
Love
like,
it. Straight up.
and he was like, "How can I help?" You know, and I was like, I said, "I'm here. You know, I want to do it. I'm here to do it." And he was just like, "No, that's not how it works. You know, like you have to apply. You go through. There's a submissions process. You know, that was closed weeks ago. You need to apply next year." And I was like, "No, Jerry." I was like, "No, I've been fucking about in a shop for about 7 years now. You said that that's a good logo. You said that I should come. I'm here. Fucking what are you going to do about it?" And he's like, "I'm not going to do anything about it." He's like, "You're going to like fuck off, and then you're going to apply next year." And I was like, "No, I'm not." So I just sat outside his door all day, and he was just like having to step over me to get in and out of his office. And I was just like, "I'm just going to sit here all day. What's he going to do?" And I thought, I've got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
I've got nothing to lose. I'm just going back to another shift in this shop. So I just sat there, and he was like, "You know, you need to go. It's like getting dark and all that." And I'm like, "No." And he said, "Look, where's your form? Fill out the forms." And I filled them out. And I said, "I filled out the forms, Jerry." And he's like, "Have you got the portfolio?" And I was like, "No." I said, "I don't, but I can get one." And he said, "Right, I'll give you a week, go away, put a portfolio together, come back." He said, "And if it's any good, I'll put you in the HNC class," which was like a 1-year graphic design class. He said, "I'll put you in it for a week. If you're shit, I'll chuck you out." Wow. And I was like, and I just said, "HNC?" I was like, "That's the 1-year class." I was like, "What about the HND? That's the 2-year class." I was like, "That's the level up." And he was like, "Come on." He's like, "I'm taking a chance already." And I was like, "What about the 2-year class, Jerry?" He was like, That's a bit better, isn't it? And he's like, "Right, put the portfolio together, we'll see." So I went away, Ed helped me just create some stuff, and I was just like drawing shit, and I was like, "Ed, would you put in a portfolio?" And he was just like draw people, draw stuff. And then I remember that I was obsessed when I was younger with x-rays, and he was like, "Put some posters together with x-rays and things like that, just kid on, it's for something." You know what I mean? I'm like, "You'll stick all this shit together." Went up, and Jerry was just like, "What the fuck?" And but he like, honestly, I genuinely owe everything to him. Like,
Jerry.
And he said, "Right, I'll put you in the HND class." He said, "You've got 2 weeks." He said, "And if you make an arse of it, and you make an arse of me, you're out." And I was like, "Okay." So I turned up at the HND class with this whole classroom of would-be graphic designers, and I thought, right, I've got 2 weeks to prove myself. And within about a week, I was like the best in the class by miles. And you know, which sounds really arrogant, but it was true. And
It's just like the graphic design version of 8 Mile. Like, it's like you're on stage.
I know, it was like, go. And I was like, pure fucking designing, like, fuck, you know what I mean? And, you know, another folk were, the Glasgow College of Building and Printing's nickname was the Glasgow College of Smoking and Drinking. And so everybody just kind of hung about smoking and drinking and everything like that. But I was like, I need to fucking do some designing. So while everybody's down the pub, I was like getting on with it. So after the 2 weeks, Jerry said that I could stay. And so I did the 2 years. And then I won like their first ever Glasgow Design Award for the college sort of thing, you know what I mean? And that was all great. And he was like, "Right, you'll be your like poster child and go out and get a job." And I was like, "No, I want to go to art school." I was like, "That's been my dream, that's what I want to do, that's what Ed did, and I just want to do what Ed did and just copy him." And Ed had went to Duncan Jordanson, and he had got a first, and he had won a D&AD pencil. And so I just thought, and I just want to do what he did. So I just went to the same college, entered the same that he had won in typography. I just entered typography as well. So, you know, this is cutting to 3 years later. I've still got to get into the art school first. you know.
So you sat outside the office.
Well, actually, I'd applied to Donald Jordanson Art School, and I was so nervous about it. And Ned knew my application was in, and I asked him to break into the office to see if I was on the list, and he did. Him and his pal broke into the university office to check who had made it in and who was on the list, and then he phoned me up, and he was like, he tried to kid on that I wasn't in, and then he was like, you're in. And I was like, fucking
How did that
hell.
feel?
Oh my God, you couldn't imagine it. I was just sort of like fucking on fire. Do you know what I mean? I was like, I'm going to art school, probably like 10 years after I'd left school by then, do you know what I mean? And I just was like, oh my God, I'm doing it, you know. Brilliant. Wow. So I turned off at the art school. I'd probably at this point in time worked years, 7 days a week, doing all this stuff, done the building printing, and also worked at nights and at the weekends and all the rest of it. And I remember going into the art school with all these like real art students, and the lecturer going, right, here's the brief, and the brief was green.
Green.
And they said you've got a month to go and explore green, and I was just like, what? Like, what else do I need to do? Like, what other million other things do I need to do? And they were like, you've got a month, just go and explore green. And I just thought, fucking hell, this is amazing. And I remember just literally spinning about in my chair, like totally like, I'm at the fucking art school and all I need to do is explore green. So,
Wow.
great. I've since learned graphic design's a lot harder than that. Right? There's a bit more to it.
That would be nice if you went to a client and said, what do you want me to do? And they went, just explore green.
Yeah, just do something green.
Yeah,
That's all that matters,
works.
just green.
What are you getting from the story so far, Ash? In terms of life lessons.
A lot of life lessons.
By the way,
Everyone,
tell them.
I'm not like on Facebook or anything. I write a live poem as we go through, so I've been kind of summarising here, but I've got my parts I'll share at the
Okay,
end.
we'll do it.
Yeah.
So how do you then get into what you're doing next, which is, well, this is where D&AD comes into the story. You're like, he's got a D&AD pencil, I want one.
Yes.
What happens?
Yeah, so in the third year at the art school, we got a chance to enter the New Blood Awards. It was just called the student pencils at that point in time. And I was just like, right, I entered the typography one because that's what Ed had entered. And then I wanted to make sure that I won it. So, well, I knew you haven't got a clue, you're just entering it and doing a good bit of work. And then it turned out I did win it. And which was a fucking miracle.
Wow.
And I remember coming down to London, and I was coming down to pick up. I was going for an interview. I was coming to the student D&AD Awards, and I was coming down and I had to pick up. I had submitted this calendar piece. The reason I had done a calendar for my piece of typography was because this calendar that I had absolutely loved, and I had a sort of cut out on my desk at art school, which was by this guy called Greg Quinton, and who's there, and this piece of work was just like something that I just utterly loved, and so I thought, I'm going to design a calendar as this piece, and that won the pencil, and I came down to pick up my submission, and I was going to this interview in the afternoon, and then I opened the thing up, and it said first prize on it as I was in the interview. So I'm getting interviewed by this guy, and I've got to open up this tube with the thing in it, and it just says first prize on it, and that was me realising that I had won the D&AD pencil. And so I'm holding up, I'm in the interview with the guy, and I'm like, fucking jump up and down, like going bananas. And the guy's like, and I just turned around to him, and I'm like, and he was like, I don't even need to see what the calendar is, you just won first prize. So I go along to the awards that night, and
So this is like the night, what tonight is, but in 2024 is the awards ceremony.
it's the student award ceremony,
Wow,
and it's
okay.
like a big deal, big sort of sit-down dinner and all the rest of it, and the judges are there, and you're sitting, as a student, you get the opportunity to then sit with the judges who had judged your work, and I know I'm going into the thing knowing I've won it, and
It's a nice feeling.
yeah, so I'm like pure swaggering in, and then there's this guy at the table who's like trying to reassure me that it's okay, because he was convinced he was going to win it, and he's like, it's all right, like you'll be fine. Do you know what I mean?
Okay,
like,
not to finish
you
first.
know, but yeah, it's okay to come last. Do you know what I mean? And I'm just like, fucking arsehole. Like, I've won this thing. And so then they call the winner, and all that. He got second place, And then they called me to the stage, and I got up onto the stage to get my student yellow pencil, and they're like, and the winner is Jack Renwick, and I'm like up to the stage, and then the guy's giving out the awards, like, oh no, sorry, it's this guy Jack Renwick that's won it. And I'm
Saying
like,
this to you.
yeah, and I'm like, no, I'm trying to explain to him, I'm like, no, I'm Jack. And then he's like, and he's going, I'm so sorry, I'm really sorry. You've not won it. It's Jack Renwick. That's won it. And I'm going, no, I'm Jack. And he was like, no, it's a guy that's won it. And I was like, no, it's not. And I'm like, pure
How many
arguing with him on the
times?
stage.
I'm Jack.
I'm like, I'm Jack Renwick. And then the penny dropped, and then they're having a hoo-ha behind the scenes at D&AD, and they're like, having a fit and all this. And then he was like, and then it dawned on him, and he's like, you're Jack? And I was like, aye. And then he went, hey, well done, give me the pencil.
What an inspiring story, and to do it here at D&AD Festival is pretty amazing. And so let's, we'll do part 2 in the next episode.
Okay.
So if you've enjoyed this today, do follow and you'll get to hear part 2 where you get your first job at 26 and rise up to creative director, and that's an amazing story in itself, your first job. Because again, they're like, we're waiting for Jack, and you're like, I'm Jack. Anyway.
Yeah, it's been a repeating kind of thing, you know what I mean?
Yes, so we'll get to that. And now we'll come on to this amazing bit of art and poem that Ashley has been writing as we go, not texting his mates. Say it over to you.
Okay. Just absorb it because it's been like loads of spelling errors here. Okay. Leading the charge to give an F about creatives, which allows young talent to flourish and create inspiring spaces. A spark was lit, inspired by the visions of craft work, finding the pathway to her dream despite having to start work. Life is what you make it. Be real and don't fake it. Following passion will lead your own adventure. You might take a detour. Life's sometimes a seesaw. You may end up welding iron at the Adult Learning Centre. A life lesson to learn is to stand firm and proclaim what are you going to do about it. So that's part 1 done, and the story has just begun. But please all watch out for dogs the next time you eat a toffee crisp.
Yes, that.